YouTube's there. What's up, YouTube? Let's see. Who do we have today? Not on Twitch yet. Not on TikTok yet. But YouTube is in the house. So what's the latest? How's everybody's Monday going? Everybody doing well? I am just peachy. We are here waiting for the news to start, putting the final touches on some of these scripts here. SML, good to see you. Where's Lisa? I think Lisa's right there. Nope, she's not right there. She's usually right there. She's usually in the corner. She'll be around, I'm sure. She is in the studio today. Wow, look at that. That is the White House before the addition. And you've got Washington, D.C. in the back. I think that's the Potomac way off in the distance. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what we're feeding out of the D.C. camera right now. And let's see. We are going to be leading with, any guesses on what we're leading with tonight, guys? Thoughts? What do you think? What do you think? What should we lead with tonight? Hi, how's it going, Freedom Face? How are you? Okay, there we go. TikTok is now fired up. Happy Monday, James. Let's see, and then I think Twitch is coming online too. And then pretty soon we're gonna add in, I think we're gonna add in Instagram. We're gonna try to add in Instagram and see how that goes. Manuela, hello. Jay Place, hello. Iran, no, we are gonna cover Iran today, but we are not gonna start with it. What else? Anybody else know what we're leading with today? I'm doing pretty good, Max. Thanks for asking. Thank you so much. SML, Iran. Not Iran. We're going to get to Iran pretty high up there in the A block, but today we're going to lead with the hantavirus. We're going to lead with the hantavirus. So it is stressing a lot of people out. Meanwhile, most of our leaders, the CDC, health officials are saying there's nothing to worry. They understand everybody's fears because of what happened during COVID. But it seems as though they've got things pretty well contained according to them. So, however, you're going to see some images. You're going to see some images that make you raise your eyebrow, maybe. It is images of people being taken out of an ambulance, and then the people around them are wearing full PPE. The patient that's being transported, also in full, full getup that you see, and you're like, oh, I've seen that in the movies before. That is all precautionary. There's this long, like 40-plus day isolation quarantine period, and we're hearing conflicting reports. There's a possibility that some of them will be allowed to kind of finish out that quarantine at home, and it'll be up to them. So a lot of questions, but we're going to be answering them with both Camila Bernal, who's out in Nebraska, where this private jet carrying over a dozen of these Americans that were on that boat landed, and then Atlanta, where Aaron Gilchrist is. He's where two of those people, one of them, I believe, was showing mild symptoms of the virus. They were taken protectively to Atlanta, where the CDC is. So they're going to be monitored there, and we are going to monitor the situation from Los Angeles. Am I tired, SML? I think I'm always tired these days, but that's because I have 2 little kids. Has a show gotten rid of the top of the show tease? Yeah, sometimes we just like to get straight to it. It's called the show open, and recently we've just been diving straight in. What do you think? We do a lot of experiments, and it's interesting that you notice that. Do you like it that we jump straight in, or would you like to have kind of like that, here are the chapters that we're going to be, basically a table of contents for the show. Do you like the table of contents, or do you like us to just, boom, not waste any time and get straight to the news? Oh, los sheriff de Illinois me han estado amenazando de muerte por... Valentin, that sounds very interesting. Feel free to DM me. How do we decide? Jay Place. It's a good question. we've got a ton of people at NBC that are constantly monitoring. There's this thing called the assignment desk. And the assignment desk is kind of like the central processing unit of the network. They are the ones that receive all the information from all over the place. They're the best at monitoring the situation. And so usually the assignment desk sees something break, they send out notes letting people know that it's happening, and they also start gathering as much verifiable information as humanly possible. That is very hard to do these days. That's actually where I started out, on the assignment desk. And it is a pretty intense job, but that's where breaking news usually comes in, and then it gets flagged up to people like Lisa, myself, and we make the editorial call. Like, this is definitely big enough, we should lead with it, or we should put the breaking news in right now, or we'll put it somewhere in the show if we can. Let's see, I don't mind either way. I just noticed and wanted to ask. Hi, you were so astute. Open more, SML. SML votes more of the show open. George is in the house today. George, thanks so much.
Tuners?
Yeah.
Tuneriners?
Tuneriners. That's what you guys are. He says you're tuneriners. I like that. I like tuneriners.
I think we need a better nickname.
What do you vote for?
Put me on the spot.
By the way, if you're wondering who the voice of God is, that is Lisa, the control room god, over there in the corner waving her hand. Yes, she is out and about in 30 Rock today. There we go. SML, my Mother's Day was great. We went camping. I don't know if my wife's Mother's Day was as restful as a spa, but she will have a spa day in her future because she beasted it down there in San Alejo on the beach. Hey, what's up, Lisa? Look at that. Hi, Lisa.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. That's very nice of you. Hello, everybody.
There we go. Hello. Hey, what's up, UK?
And Liz Kreutz joins us now. Liz, people coming off the plane with their luggage. What's going on
Elizabeth
there?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before, right? In these.
Let's see. Hey, Lisa, did you see that they're like talking about the Open? They're like, hey, where's that show?
I did. I was listening to them talk about that. And it was funny because me and Sean were just having that conversation here.
And let's bring in NBC's Ryan Nobles, who's at the White House. Ryan,
what's his
the
vote?
president is saying the ceasefire is on life
just
support.
getting right
I
to
also
it.
want to play some comments from Benjamin Netanyahu.
I like getting
last
right to
night
it, too.
We're playing back
And to be honest,
Is the war with Iran over? And if it
we have
isn't,
an
who
hour.
will
We have
decide?
an hour for the show, but time is always limited. And so the way that I figure, if we
Now let's
don't
head over
have
to
it open
Atlanta, where NBC
and we
News
get
correspondent
straight to
Aaron
all the
Gilchrist
news,
is
we
standing by.
technically have
Aaron,
to
for
wait to
starters,
see all
how are the
news,
two
but
patients
we're
in
able to
Atlanta
fit
doing?
more news into the show as opposed to repeating ourselves. So,
Well, Gotti, we got an update from officials here at Emory University Hospital.
That 8 p.m. on the East Coast is a very clicker-happy time of night. And we don't want anyone to go anywhere. You guys see right here.
people are going to click?
Well, the
They're gonna-
ones who don't
they're gonna
know,
turn the channel
they
on
don't
us?
know, you know.
Hmm.
So if we just get like right
So you're saying
into
they
it,
see the whole show and they're like, all right, we're done.
we just
click,
give
click,
them
and then they're
like
out.
if we just give them like just dive right into the buffet of news.
I say
we're
we
good.
dive. Yeah, we're just going to dive in head first and see how it does for a little while. Isabella shared the stream. Thank you, Isabella. That's so sweet. Hi. It's prime time here. Prime time, yeah. But then he also says peak clicking time, which is very true. Aw, SML says, welcome back. Do a poll on it. We should start instituting polls. That's a very good idea, Jay Place. Man, what else? How else
I
can
love
we make
polls.
this
Where can you
stream
do
better?
polls? Can you do polls on?
We got to figure out.
Can you do that on
Kevin's like,
TikTok or
"Oh,
what?
Darn it.
Okay.
I think we could do it on TikTok. We could do it on a bunch of
do
different
it on
places. Let me see if I can do
YouTube.
it from my phone right here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just say hi to SML on
Feedback,
YouTube.
clear
Hang on, I'm
display,
jumping over there right
adaptive
now.
light mode. Yeah, we're gonna start having to figure this out. But yeah, we'll maybe do some poll experimentation. That'd be a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Can do polls on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, let me see if I've got the interface here. Kevin's back manning the actual stream, and I've just got the monitor stream, but let me see. Try 1 month ad-free? Interesting. Bits. Do I have any bits? Wow, bits on Twitch they can get pricey. Interesting. Yeah, we've thought about all kinds of stuff with this stream. I've even thought about maybe streaming some games, but then I was like, then I wouldn't get any work done. Unless it was StarCraft or Polytopia. I could play those very quickly. Should call the poll.
Do we have to pay for Twitch?
What should I call the poll? No, you don't have to pay for Twitch. There's the ad-free tier, and then you can get these things called bits, which are like, the in-app currency, I think. More honest talk. MS. That's a good idea. What's up, MMA wifey? How's it going? Does NBC News not pay for Twitch? And if you notice, we're just streaming on Twitch on like my account right now. So this is all really an experimentation. All right, it looks like we got a minute and a half, and George is over here standing where I'm going to stand with my broken foot, which is still broken, by the way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, how's your foot feeling? I'm sorry, I didn't ask you about that today.
Dude, it hurt so bad. So we went to the beach, and I was running around and chasing Kira and Rio like in the sand, and it was just crunching in a way that was not good. So as soon as the show's over, I'm gonna put my boot back on, and I wear this boot. I'm gonna wear it religiously all the way up until the show for the rest of the week. I'm gonna be a very good patient and do what the doctor has said. So we'll see. Oh, thanks so much. I think the show is doing really great. We're breaking the fourth wall. That means so much.
1 minute out.
I think that's the future. So we're staking a claim there. Soak in some Epsom salt. Yeah, that's better than taking my wife's like red light therapy mask and putting it on my gross foot.
You were not doing that with the red light therapy mask.
Yeah.
What was the theory? What was the science behind that? You have 40 seconds. Quickly, what was the science behind that?
It's not. It's a vibe. Red light.
30 seconds.
It's a healing vibe. Oh, it's like all right, we're locking into the news now. Here we go. Talk soon, Lisa. I'm turning down my iPad.
20 seconds.
All right, you hear George. George is saying 20 seconds. So if you're just new to this stream, this is Stay Tuned Now. That's George right here. And we are about to start the news in 10 seconds. And it's going to look like a serious news show. So here we go. Focus, everybody.
5,
have a good show.
4, 3.
And we start tonight with the deadly hantavirus outbreak. Right now, 18 American passengers from the infected cruise ship are back in the United States after getting on a private jet and landing early this morning. Here's a breakdown. 15 of them are quarantining right now in Nebraska, all currently asymptomatic and testing negative.
The passengers that are all in the sort of assessment phase, they're going to be here for at least a few days while we do assessments and then coordination from what happens next. They certainly have the option to stay here for the entire 42-day period if that's just the safest and most effective option for them.
Now, there is a 16th patient in Nebraska that is currently in a biocontainment unit after their test result was what doctors are calling, quote, mildly positive.
This passenger, this test was not collected in the United States. The specimen was collected back, I believe, in one of the islands. It was taken on the ship. There were 2 specimens. One was positive, and the other one was negative.
As you can tell, lots of variables here. And the 2 other Americans, a couple, they were transported to Emory University Hospital in Atlanta after one of them was showing symptoms of the virus. Meanwhile, dozens of other passengers were evacuated from the ship over the past few days, disembarking for their home countries from its anchor point near Spain's Canary Islands. Now, the ship itself, you see it here. This is it refueling earlier. It is now headed back to the Netherlands with dozens of crew members still on board. And throughout all of it, everyone from health officials to the President of the United States insists that the threat to the general public is extremely small.
And let me be clear, let me be crystal clear. The risk of hantavirus to the general public remains very, very low.
I hope it's fine. All I can do is
everything that a president can do, which is actually somewhat limited. But it seems like it is not easy to spread.
And first, let's go out to NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal, who's on the ground for us in Nebraska. Camila, break this down for us, from the evacuation process for the Americans, that testing process, to what life is going to be like for them in the coming days and weeks here.
Yeah, Gotti, so that plane landed here in Nebraska with 18 Americans. 2 of them then went on to Atlanta. 1 of them we know had mild symptoms. The other was that person's partner, and they are being treated in Atlanta. Now, the people that stayed here in Nebraska were brought in 3 different buses to the facility here behind me. 1 of them, though, went to the biocontainment unit because that person tested positive. The other that were here are in quarantine, essentially, in the building here behind me. And what we were told is that these people will be monitored, but they'll essentially be like in a hotel room where they will have access to virtual conversations, where they have meals being delivered, and just people checking in on them. That is what they're going to continue to do throughout the next couple of days. We were told temperature checks will continue to happen at least once a day. And then during the press conference today, I asked officials, how long are people going to have to stay here? And the response was that they're going to look at every case differently, depending on their exposure and when that exposure was and how close they were to a possible exposure. They're saying that essentially at the end of the day, it is going to be up to the passengers themselves to decide if they want to stay quarantining here or if they want to go back to their home states. It's unclear exactly when, but that will be a possibility for them, Gotti.
Interesting. We also heard from the ship's captain a little earlier. Let's take a quick listen here.
What moved me the most was your patience, your discipline, and also kindness that you show to each other throughout. Most importantly, our thoughts are with the ones that are no longer with us.
Yeah, a reminder of the stakes here. So, Camila, what about everybody else on the ship? A French person also tested positive, right?
That's right. So we know that there are now 9 confirmed or suspected cases, and that includes that person in France. We know that 122 people got off that boat. That included passengers and some of the crew members, and they essentially went back to their home country. So these people are all over the world, and there are different countries that are monitoring all of this. There are some countries that are even making people quarantine for up to 42 days. That's obviously not the case here in the United States, but it is in other countries. In terms of the ship, we know that it is headed back to the Netherlands with some of the crew members, and once it gets there, it is going to be sanitized and clean as they continue this whole evaluation process of where in the world this virus came from, whether it was still on the ship or only in Argentina. That is all going to be part of this investigation, Gotti.
And real quick, beyond Nebraska and Georgia, there are so many other states that are monitoring all of this as well, right? What's the latest there?
Yeah, there are basically 3 buckets. Some of the states that are now saying they know that people here in Nebraska are essentially members of their own states, and so they're saying they're keeping track of the members here, keeping in touch with them, and then eventually will be ready to receive them back in their home states. There are also other states who already have people that got off the ship earlier, and they are being monitored as well. But we are hearing essentially that people are testing themselves and checking for their temperatures in those states, not necessarily quarantining. And then there are other states that are also monitoring exposure. So people who might have been maybe on a plane with someone who was on the cruise ship, but all across the country, states really taking a look at this to see how they can keep the public safe, Gotti.
NBC's Camila Bernal. Camila, thank you. Now let's head over to Atlanta, where NBC News correspondent Aaron Gilchrist is standing by. Aaron, for starters, how are the 2 patients in Atlanta doing?
Well, Gotti, we got an update from officials here at Emory University Hospital a little while ago about the 2 people that were brought here early this morning. We understand that there is one of those passengers who is undergoing treatment and the other is undergoing monitoring and evaluation. That's the only information that officials here were willing to give us. You can see in some of the video here, those folks arrived by airplane here in Atlanta and then were transported by ambulance to the University Hospital here, which has a specialized facility where they can treat people who've been potentially exposed or have one of these highly communicable diseases. This was a facility that was really stood up in the way that it is as a part of a national network after the Ebola scare several years ago. And in the time that those two passengers have been at this hospital, we've heard from officials here that they are going through the process of making sure that they can stay healthy and making sure they can plan for when those folks might be able to return home. I did speak to an epidemiologist here at Emory University. She is not connected to the care of the two passengers who were brought here, but we had a broader conversation about the quarantine process for hantavirus and what that looks like, what some of these passengers may be going through. I want you to hear part of our conversation.
They are checking them to make sure that they're doing well and they're medically stable, which all of them do appear to be. They also don't have to stay there that entire 42 days. They actually can move home and continue their quarantine there.
And that's one of the big points that we're hearing from doctors, Gotti, this idea of what happens once some of these people, the 18 people, are able to go back to their home states. And there is, as we understand it, again, that coordination that's happening between federal health officials, state health departments, and local health departments so that they can have some procedures in place for when these folks do return home, Gotti.
It's so interesting to hear her say that. And if we've got that video that we were just playing, if you can walk us through exactly what we're seeing there. It looks like that's a patient in full protective gear. You've got somebody with some sort of apparatus on their back. You've got people with face masks there. So we're seeing these images, and we're also being told that at some point they'll have the option to finish their 42-day quarantine period at home. I mean, it paints a very different picture, and yet this is all protective?
Yeah, you're right. It is a little scary to see images like this, right? We know, again, this is something that we've seen when we talk about Ebola and that spreading in different places, including here in the United States a decade or so ago. We talked about it during the COVID pandemic as well. In this case, we know that there's one person who came here to Atlanta who had symptoms, who was showing signs of hantavirus. And so the medical workers who are in very close proximity, as you can see from the video here, would take all the precautions necessary to make sure that they are not exposed to any potential pathogens that may be around these passengers who are coming into this facility. When we think about the people who are asymptomatic right now, and the idea of them returning home, some of the protocols may be a little less around those people right now. As long as they are asymptomatic, they are not considered capable of transmitting this virus to other people. And so the health departments in their home states right now are aware of who they are. They know where they live and what cities and towns they're going to be going back to. And they're starting to put together plans for monitoring these folks, right? We know Utah, for example, has 3 residents in this group who are eventually going to go back to Utah. North Carolina, New Hampshire, New York, they all have residents in these groups. And they're putting together plans to make sure that they're able to monitor these folks, not necessarily keep them locked inside their homes, but they want to be able to do daily checks with them. To see if they've developed a fever, if they've developed any other symptoms that might be, the rest of us might associate with the flu, for example. They're going to be checking for those sorts of things, and then they're going to have a plan to isolate those folks if they do develop symptoms, and they'll also work with local hospitals and medical facilities to make sure that they're able to receive those people if they develop symptoms and need to seek medical care once they return to their home states, Gotti.
NBC's Aaron Gilchrist, thank you. And now to the war with Iran, where the current ceasefire does not seem very stable at all.
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place?
You know, it's unbelievably weak. It's on life support. They understand. These are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, "Sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living."
Quite the description there from the president. Trump's comments coming after he rejected the latest peace proposal from Iran, calling it stupid, totally unacceptable, a piece of garbage, and saying he didn't even bother reading the entire thing. Tehran insists that its latest offer was reasonable and generous. So what was actually in it? Well, Iranian officials say the proposal asked for things like the end of the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports and the release of frozen Iranian assets and banks. They also want safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz and security and peace for the entire region, including Lebanon. But Trump is not feeling it at all leaving very big questions as to where we go from here. And let's bring in NBC's Ryan Nobles, who's at the White House. Ryan, so the president is saying the ceasefire is on life support. I also want to play some comments from Benjamin Netanyahu last night. Here they are.
Is the war with Iran over? And if it isn't, who will decide when it is?
I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran.
How do you envision the highly enriched uranium will be removed from Iran?
You go in and you take it out.
With what? Special forces from Israel, special forces from the United States?
Well, I'm not going to talk about military means, but what President Trump has said to me, I want to go in there.
Now, Ryan, that doesn't sound like what happens during a ceasefire, right?
No, it doesn't, Gotti. And I think these comments by the Prime Minister over the weekend are very significant in terms of what it's going to take for this war to come to an end. If it means that it's not over until the United States or Israel or some other government that isn't Iran has possession of that enriched uranium, it's going to mean a lot of work. Now, the president told me during a session in the Oval Office today that the Iranians had actually agreed over the weekend to allow the U.S. or some other government to come in and get that enriched uranium, but then they backtracked and did not put it into the final proposal. So there is still a pretty significant disagreement between the United States and the administration and the regime about what it means for who's going to possess that enriched uranium. But if it's going to require some sort of military action, that would mean boots on the ground. And that's been a huge red line for many in the administration and for Republicans in Congress. So it doesn't seem as though we're anywhere near that goal being accomplished. And until that goal is accomplished, it seems as though this conflict's going to continue, Gotti.
Yeah, and it seems like that is just one of many disagreements, right? What's the status of negotiations right now?
Well, President Trump described the ceasefire that exists in the region right now on life support. He said he would give it a 1% chance of survival, which is not a very good sign. Listen to what he told me today about where the status of things are. On Iran, you rejected a deal from Iran over the weekend. Can you tell us anything about that proposal and what, if any, effort will be made to break the stalemate?
It was just unacceptable. You know, a lot of people said, well, does he have a plan? Yeah, of course they do have the best plan ever. But it's a very simple plan. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, and they didn't want to go that far.
It is a simple plan, but executing and accomplishing that plan has proven to be very difficult. And it's very clear that Iran is not ready to just do away with its nuclear program, whether it be to use it as an energy source or as a potential arsenal to build up nuclear weapons. That has been the big sticking point. They still have enough leverage at their disposal with their control of the Strait of Hormuz. They still have drones. They still have military apparatus that's keeping the United States at bay. So as a result, we're locked in this stalemate, Gotti, and there is no real clear sign of when it will come to an end.
Yeah, meanwhile, here in the United States, we seem to be watching a battle going on right now between Secretary Pete Hegseth and Senator Mark Kelly over U.S. weapons stockpiles. Can you tell us what's going on there?
Yeah, so this was a comment that Secretary Kelly's made actually a couple of times about what he believes is the United States military stockpile, the fact that it's being drawn down as a result of the war in Iran. And it's something that the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has taken exception to, claiming that it is part of classified information that he should not be discussing. Listen to a little bit of this back and forth.
If a conflict goes on for months or years, when it takes years to replenish some of these munitions, of course we're going to be in a worse posture.
Now, that was enough for the secretary to post this on X, claiming that they were going to review these comments made by Mark Kelly, suggesting that he's blabbing on TV, as he describes it, talking about a classified briefing, suggesting that he violated his oath. Well, Secretary Kelly responded, and he said that this was all public information that actually came up during a hearing that the secretary was a part of. And let's play a little bit of that.
How many years to replenish? That's the question. I think that's exactly the right question, too, Senator, because the time frame we were existing under was unacceptable. Okay, well, and what this budget does, I mean, months and years, fast. Years. I mean, we're building new plants in real time. So just to replace what we have expended. I said months. And then you said years.
So what's clear here is that Secretary, or I should say Senator Kelly, is not going to just take Pete Hegseth's attacks lying down. This is one of several attempts that the Secretary of Defense has had to try and dust up Secretary Kelly, or Senator Kelly, I should say. He has examined some of the comments he's made. He's examined this video that he put out with several other members of Congress telling active duty military that they did not have to follow illegal orders. He's done a review of his retirement, his rank, things along those lines. Senator Kelly, for the most part, has said, bring it on. He's not afraid of these attacks from the Secretary of Defense. But it's a difficult thing when you've got someone that serves on these key committees that has military expertise in an open conflict with the Secretary of Defense, particularly when the country's at a time of war, Gotti.
Ryan Nobles, thank you. And for more on the war, I want to bring in the author of Cosmopolitics on Substack, Elise Labott. Elise, great to see you. The president has been saying that he wanted this war over before his trip to China. Now he is headed there tomorrow. How big of a backdrop with Iran, how big of a backdrop is this conflict going to be in what we see coming out of China tomorrow?
Well, Gotti, I really do think the war with Iran hangs over this entire trip. I mean, for months, as you said, Trump wanted this to be resolved. He postponed his first visit. Instead, he's stuck in this, very fragile ceasefire. Global energy markets are volatile, and the Strait of Hormuz is still a pressure point. And I think it's interesting. China's not just watching the diplomacy and whether Trump can make this deal with Iran, but he's also looking at how the U.S. is conducting this war. Beijing is studying how the U.S. is burning through those munitions that you were just talking about, how much strain this prolonged conflict places at the Pentagon, and how this regional war can pull American resources. So, I think it gives China a lot of leverage going into the meeting. President Xi can walk into these talks knowing that the U.S. needs stability in the Gulf a lot more than it did a few months ago.
Not to mention keeping track of how public sentiment is shaping U.S. politics as we head towards another election. I do want to ask, though, what kind of role do you think China might play in all of this? We've heard of rumors of possible back-channeling through Pakistan. Do you think that there may be some sort of pre-deal worked out between Xi and the president when it comes to Iran in China?
I don't really think so. The China does have leverage with Iran. It's probably more economic leverage because, China buys the overwhelming majority of Iranian oil exports and that's really kept Iran afloat despite these sanctions. The Chinese have kind of encouraged de-escalation, but not only to the extent that what it needs for its own stability and its own energy flows. It doesn't really seem, China doesn't really want to seem to own the conflict here. And China does have responsibility. It wants to protect those oil supplies, but it also kind of benefits, as we're saying, strategically from watching the U.S. get bogged down in the war. And so I think that, the Chinese are just stepping in long enough to protect its own interests and encouraging de-escalation. But I don't think they're going to go in and try and save Trump in any way, if that's what people are thinking.
Also, a big note. Trump seems to be rolling super deep to China with a whole bunch of titans of tech here. Is this a flex, or is this an effort into opening up more trade with a country that is also, as we were looking at, all of these companies here, very good at copying a lot of U.S. Technology that the United States will put out, and a couple of years later, China seems to be perfecting.
Well, I think that's almost why he's taking these CEOs. It tells you, first of all, it tells you that this is kind of more about an economic trip than maybe a geopolitical one. I think, you know, the war in Ukraine, the war in Iran, this will all be on the agenda, but trade and economics, I think, is really going to be about this. I mean, if you look at some of the people he's bringing, Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Larry Fink, I mean, these major business and tech leaders, you know, it shows that the U.S. and Chinese, you know, economies are very deeply intertwined. And I think what the U.S. is looking to do is do more business with China on these types of issues, as opposed to trade, maybe more economic ventures. But there are clearly, you know, divisions, I think, inside the administration on this. You know, one wants to be focused on deal making and market access, and others are worried about whether this is a national, you know, AI, semiconductors, and national security. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how deep these tech conversations go and some of the backlash that the president might face.
Yeah, well, we'll be watching to see how corporations play into all of this diplomacy. Elise, thank you so much. And now to this very scary moment caught on camera at the Denver International Airport. Warning, a video that we are about to show you, it is disturbing. It's a Frontier plane striking someone as it was about to take off Friday night. The Denver Department of Aviation releasing security video of what happened as questions rise about how that person was able to get so far on the runway. Liz Kreutz has the details.
Tonight, shocking new surveillance video showing the moment a trespasser ran right into the path of a Frontier plane taking off at Denver International, renewing questions about airport security.
We just hit somebody. We have an engine fire.
Authorities say the person, who has not been identified, deliberately scaled a perimeter fence before rushing onto the runway. The moment of impact caught on video. Passenger Kevin Cardis described the chaos after the fatal collision.
We're in disbelief. We couldn't believe that someone was striked, and we couldn't fathom how they got on the tarmac.
That's the question investigators are now working to answer. Part of the challenge, Denver International is massive, 53 square miles. That's twice the size of Manhattan, so big that Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson, O'Hare, LAX, and DFW would fit inside its borders. The airport also has 36 miles of barbed wire fencing.
I think we need to increase those security measures, because if someone does have ill intent, there's very little to stop them from coming over the perimeter fence. I think the security rules need to be better, and I know it's a cost factor for airports.
Some passengers also questioning the evacuation, saying they were on the plane for several minutes as smoke filled the cabin.
Black smoke was in the air. It was very difficult to breathe. My initial reaction was just go. We were screaming to open the door.
Videos also show some people taking their luggage down the emergency slides, slowing the evacuation, and a violation of FAA regulations.
It's a federal offense if you are not following crew member instructions.
And Liz Kreutz joins us now. Liz, people coming off the plane with their luggage. What was going on there?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before, right? In these sorts of emergency evacuations. And I get it, it's human nature. Where's my bag? People have important things on their bags, their laptops, you know, their clothes. But at the end of the day, it is against the law, as that woman said, the expert there said, to not follow the crew members' advice, and you could potentially be fined if the NTSB decides to investigate. Thankfully, everybody made it off safely, but obviously it was a very chaotic moment, and a lot of people said that they were scared and felt like the smoke was filling the cabin and it was taking a long time for everybody to be able to go down. And I should say, one of the reasons you are not supposed to take your luggage is that it could puncture the inflatable slide, and then nobody would be able to get down.
Such a good point. You see that guy with the backpack, and then you see people sliding down, and who knows what a zipper could do or something inside of the backpack.
Exactly.
And also Denver. I mean, if you spent any time in Denver, you've gone out to Denver International, like, it is in the middle of absolute nowhere. How did this guy get all the way onto the tarmac?
I mean, it is massive, and we showed that in the story, just like how big it is. But I just spent the past few days there in Denver, and yes, there is this 36 miles of barbed wire fencing all around it, but you can walk up to the fence. I did that. We walked right up to the fence. It has a no trespassing sign. And so I think this shows, and experts have said it, look, it's a really good deterrent, but if there is a will to get over it, certainly there is a way. And so Denver International says that they are going to be reviewing their security perimeter protocol and standards now in response to this incident.
Liz Kreutz, thanks so much for your reporting. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, a family impacted by a mass shooting at Florida State University is looking to hold OpenAI accountable after the suspect used the platform to plan the attack. Plus, disturbing video of a man waving and shooting a gun on a street in Massachusetts, what we're learning about that incident. And also, we are trying a little something new here. If you see this QR code and you have a question about what you're seeing on the news, feel free to scan through. You can chat with us. You can ask that question. You can talk about whatever it is that we're talking about at that moment. It'll take you behind the scenes, streaming on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. Swing by and let us know your thoughts all hour long.
Tuned in from that QR code. Hi, welcome to the chat. This is the side of the news that you don't see very often, but it's the interactive part. It's the part where we get to talk, and you'll see a bunch of people in the chat, depending on where you came in on, who are already talking about the news. Let's see, I will continue to take my carry-on luggage. It would not replace it. Apple user, I mean, I don't know. I think I would probably just run as fast as I could to get off that plane in an orderly fashion, I hope. Let's see. Most of these stories are men doing something crazy. OBI, that is the point that yes, my wife, who was a journalist for a very long time, she pointed that out one day. She was like, watch how many news stories have the main character as, it's a common denominator throughout all of this. And we watched, and I was like, oh, you're totally right. Let's see. Oof, razor wire for DIA. I mean, that's a lot of razor wire. That thing is the biggest airport. Crazy. Miss Snapchat News, Sean, you were a real one right there. Snapchat News. Now we're streaming. Started from the Snapchat, now we hear.
Here we go in. 5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we are watching tonight. 2 people are in life-threatening condition after this shooting in Cambridge, Massachusetts. A man was seen walking down a street, firing over 50 shots at passing cars before state troopers got involved and shot him. 2 people shot by that gunman had been driving. The suspect, named Tyler Brown, is also in intensive care. Officials say Brown was on probation, and police had gone looking for him this morning before that shooting after his parole officer warned he was acting erratically. And the man charged with attempting to assassinate President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner pleaded not guilty in court today. Cole Thomas Allen might face additional charges, according to prosecutors. Meanwhile, Allen's lawyers want the U.S. attorney's prosecutors removed from the case because they say they were all at the dinner. Allen's next hearing will be at the end of June. And yesterday, 6 people were found dead inside of a train car in Texas near the U.S.-Mexico border. Today, a 7th body was also found along the railroad tracks that could be connected to the others. And officials say the 7 people were from Mexico and Honduras, and they all likely died by heat stroke. And the Supreme Court has decided to continue to allow full access to the abortion medication mifepristone for the next 3 days. Justice Alito issued orders last week to temporarily keep mifepristone available pending further review from the full court, and has now extended those orders through Thursday. That means the full court must weigh in on the nationwide issue within the next 3 days. And in Paris, authorities say they foiled a planned terror attack last week. Sources close to the investigation say the attacker planned to target the Jewish community and a Paris museum, but French newspaper Le Monde reports that the suspect was planning to attack the Louvre. Police say they took a 27-year-old man from Tunisia into custody, and he has now been charged with conspiracy to commit a terror attack. And the family of a man killed in last year's mass shooting at Florida State University is suing OpenAI, claiming the company played a role in that attack. The lawsuit claims the alleged shooter, Phoenix Elkner, got advice from ChatGPT on how to carry out the shooting, even claiming that on the day it happened, he asked the chatbot about the legal process, sentencing, and what prison time could look like. The lawsuit also alleges ChatGPT explained when a shooting was likely to gain more interest, saying, quote, "If children are involved, even 2 to 3 victims can draw more attention." The shooting killed 2 people and left 5 others hurt. OpenAI has denied any wrongdoing, saying in a statement, quote, "Last year's mass shooting at Florida State University was a tragedy, but ChatGPT is not responsible for this terrible crime. In this case, ChatGPT provided factual responses to questions with information that could be found broadly across public sources on the internet, and it did not encourage or promote illegal or harmful activity." Let's bring in Misty Maris, who's been following this story for us and notably many other stories that are very similar. Misty, the common theme keeps emerging from so many of these lawsuits. What is this lawsuit claiming?
So this lawsuit is claiming that ChatGPT was actually being used as almost a co-conspirator to plan this shooting. And the allegations are that at OpenAI, ChatGPT was negligent, that they knew that there was a risk of harm that could come to be if these extensive conversations were had, and they failed to put safety parameters in place. For instance, Gotti, why wasn't this flagged? Why wasn't law enforcement contacted when these communications related to a prospective shooting? How were there not other parameters and safety protocols in place to flag this particular conversation and issues that were going on with the shooter and ChatGPT? So it's a negligence case, and it's all about what the company knew and when, and whether or not it was a foreseeable risk.
And the state of Florida has already launched a criminal investigation into OpenAI for this FSU shooting. We heard from the Florida Attorney General last month. Let's take a quick listen.
If it was a person on the other end of that screen, we would be charging them with murder.
Legally speaking, how far could courts go and prosecutors go in charging an AI company for a user's violent actions? Like, I mean, what he just said there, if it was a person, they would be charged with murder, but what happens when it's a company?
Right, so the Attorney General in Florida is bringing a unique legal theory and an investigation on the criminal side, Gotti. And what he had said is that this conduct would have been a co-conspirator if you'd had a human being. Of course, ChatGPT is a company, but companies can still have criminal culpability. But on that criminal side, the investigation is going just beyond the use of the platform itself. It's purported to be digging into the way the company is structured, what types of things they're doing behind the scenes to put in the correct protections, who are the decision makers. So that's the issue when it comes to potential criminal culpability. Now, the civil case, the defense in the civil case is two broad defenses. The first is that all of this information was on the internet regardless. It wasn't anything that was unique to ChatGPT, so they should not be held liable. And also that you have what's called a superseding criminal act, meaning you had somebody who was using it for the purpose of criminal activity. So ChatGPT should not be held responsible. It is that individual who committed the crime, and that should cut off any civil culpability. So a lot going on in two different forums. And Gotti, another real trailblazer case when it comes to these legal theories.
Yeah, and we'll keep watching them. Misty Maris, really appreciate your analysis. Thank you. And now to another high-stakes legal battle shaking up the world of artificial intelligence, with 2 billionaires already taking the stand. A third and a fourth billionaire are now testifying in the trial between Elon Musk and OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman. Today, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said Microsoft's $13 billion investment in OpenAI ultimately worked out well, because in his words, we were the only ones who took the risk. Then OpenAI co-founder Ilya Sutskever got on the stand as well and disclosed a nearly $7 billion stake in the for-profit arm of OpenAI. And this comes after both Elon Musk and OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman spent hours on the stand last week. So the one major billionaire we still haven't heard from yet at the center of all of this, that is Sam Altman himself, who is expected to testify later this week. Let's bring in David Ingram, who has been following this from inside of that courtroom. David, everyone always seems to talk about Musk and Altman's very public feud here, but there's also been some beef between Musk and Microsoft, right? And Satya, can you tell us a little bit about whether we saw any of that today?
Yeah, Guy, absolutely. So Satya Nadella and Elon Musk are in some ways polar opposites. Musk, online especially, is known for pushing conspiracy theories, being sometimes profane, rude. On the stand earlier in this trial, Musk was at times sarcastic. Nadella, who's been the CEO of Microsoft for more than a decade now, he's unfailingly polite. There's no hint of sarcasm when he's testifying on the stand. And he really was pushing the idea of Microsoft as a kind of arm's length business partner for not only for OpenAI, but really for anyone who wants to do business with Microsoft. There are many reasons why Microsoft continues after all these decades to be one of the most valuable companies in the world. It's a $3 trillion company. And in fact, in the trial today, one of the lawyers brought up a tweet from Musk last year. This is after Musk had sued Microsoft. Musk was tweeting about how grateful he was to partner with Microsoft so that Musk's own xAI company was benefiting in the same way that OpenAI was from Microsoft's services.
And David, I mean, this is a very big question. It's probably definitely premature here, but let's just play, the scenarios here. If the court ultimately sides with Musk and OpenAI is somehow required to revert back to a nonprofit structure, like what does that actually mean to Microsoft, given how closely the two companies have now intertwined and how closely, OpenAI and ChatGPT are baked into things like Microsoft's Copilot?
So Nadella, one of the reasons he's been so successful as a CEO, he's been a stable force at Microsoft. And that kind of judgment you're talking about here, that would be really upsetting to Microsoft as a company in really two ways. One is Microsoft has a major stake in OpenAI. They've got about 27% ownership in OpenAI, which is worth of somewhere north of $100 billion right now. And so that would be called into question as part of any remedy in a judgment against OpenAI and Microsoft. And then there's just the question of what kind of services would Microsoft be able to provide to people without OpenAI, without this partnership. Microsoft has not been investing as heavily internally in AI research the way that, say, Google has or Meta has, because they had this partnership with OpenAI. So Nadella talked on the stand today about how when they formed this partnership, they realized that they were kind of foregoing the idea of developing their own internal Microsoft research. And there was some talk that Microsoft wanted to avoid kind of becoming the next IBM in the sense of a tech company, computer company that was somewhat past its prime. So big question marks here for Microsoft.
Yeah, and David Sutskever, I mean, he is such a fascinating figure in all of this. A little bit more soft-spoken than the others, but he is the architect of AI as we know it. He's a guy that always seemed existentially worried about artificial superintelligence and what that would lead to. Did we still hear some of that today, or has he changed his tune?
He testified today. It wasn't as lengthy testimony as you might expect, given that he was one of the key co-founders of OpenAI. And I think that's really because his testimony isn't a home run for either side. So he's become a little bit of a critic of Sam Altman, despite being a co-founder with Sam Altman. But also he said that, look, he's not the biggest fan of Elon Musk either. And he thought that that OpenAI used Musk's money wisely, and they weren't looting the nonprofit the way that Elon Musk has alleged. So he was on the stand and then off pretty quickly, although we did find out he's worth about $7 billion.
Interesting, yeah, and interesting to note that he also has left OpenAI. He is starting his own thing that we think will directly compete with both OpenAI and all things AI that Elon Musk is working on. Fascinating case, David Ingram. Thank you so much for watching this. And coming up, a growing wildfire threat in Florida as a fire in the Everglades envelops the skies near Miami with smoke. Look at all that. All right. How much? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes, guys. Thank you, Lise. Okay, perfect. All right. Virtual Verona. Man, they would be very sad to hear you say that, I think. Let's see.
Oh, would you shout out my mom, Pia? She loves your show. Pia? Yes, I don't know if you're watching this, Pia, but if you are, thank you so much for watching. And you have a wonderful offspring named Stuff. But Pia, yes, we love you for watching the show and continue to watch. And Bloodnut, you're a real one too, man. Very, very cool. Let's see, what else we got here? Yeah, very creative, some very, very creative handles here. Let's see, oh my gosh, Aloha Cats, you can see the smoke from the fires today. Eesh. And then J Place, you need to add more behind the scenes stuff, like more camera views and other stuff like that. What kind of camera views are you thinking? I was thinking about like a little camera on top of our cameras, but we'll see.
45.
Got 45 seconds. William, we're doing pretty good. I was off on Friday. We went camping with the kids. So much fun. Mac, W, thanks. Is there any talk that people matter? Interesting. You're talking about that court case? I mean, they would argue that they're doing it for the greater good of humanity, and that's the big question mark looming over all of it. My mug over on the desk. Coffee and cookies. I would love some. Texas, what's up, Liz? Hi, Texas. We've got 10 seconds. Coming back.
10 seconds.
Here we go.
Here goes. Start standing, please. In 5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. In Florida, firefighters are battling a wildfire that is raging across the Everglades, just outside Miami metro suburbs. Look at all this. This is a huge wall of flames growing rapidly after the fire started yesterday afternoon. NBC's Jesse Kirsch has more.
Tonight, this wildfire exploding outside Miami, already burning more than 11,000 acres. Firefighters airdropping water over towering plumes of smoke that can be seen for miles.
This is the fire, and this is in the direction of my house.
The blaze fueled by dry grass in Florida's lush Everglades. The flames even visible from outer space. The brush fire broke out Sunday, with the wind blowing mostly northwest away from population centers. So far, no injuries have been reported, but the wildfire has threatened some homes, including Roxanne Gills. She says the fire was blocking the road.
The only way to leave was to take an airboat.
And tonight, authorities urging residents near the smoke to stay indoors.
Even healthy individuals may experience eye irritation, coughing, sore throat.
Gotti, I'm in the Everglades at one of the staging areas for firefighters. There is smoke in the air right now. My eyes are uncomfortable. There's kind of an irritation, possibly from whatever particulate is lingering in the air. Earlier, the air was fine over here, and the fire line was just off in the distance. You could see the flames coming up and the smoke, and then the wind direction seemed to change, and the wind came this way, and there was ash falling from the sky, so we had to get out of here. We've seen firefighters using hoses to douse some of the brush around here and those tree limbs and other brush, what it looks like. We saw them dousing that with water before any potential flames came over here. We've seen a helicopter dropping water from a bucket from overhead over parts of this area. And what authorities have said as the latest information is that this fire is 50% contained. Gotti.
Imagine escaping a fire in an airboat. Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much. Coming up, what we are learning about an international drug smuggling bust coordinated by the United States and China. Details ahead, so stay tuned.
What's our time?
Clear. Wait 2 minutes.
2 minutes, all right, cool. Here we go. Yeah, Florida wildfires. Just because it's green and lush doesn't mean it can't burn. Those, dry grasses just put up so much flames. And then the thing is, when green, lush vegetation starts burning, it's so oily and it just burns so intense. You see it here in California. It's very, very alarming. And then it starts super drying out some of the things that are, it will literally dry out a plant, a green plant right next to it, that heat. So very, very dangerous situation. OBI, it's been so hot recently too, man. Yeah, not green and lush as it normally is. And yet there's water all around the Everglades. It's crazy. Oh, you want to move it? Yeah. Ryan says he's coming to coming to move the seat, but he's actually just freaking mogging me over here.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, that's good old Ryan. We got the whole crew here.
Do I get my SAG card yet?
SAG card. Somebody wants, give him a SAG card, people, and make him pay into that pension plan like the rest of those hard workers. No such thing as free lunch. Sincerely, Amity. New Mexico has been super hot. Oh man, what part of New Mexico are you in, Amity? Oregon, Texas, Ohio, LA, New York. Crazy. So true.
30 seconds.
Been a very dry spring. Yeah. Waiting for the big screen with everyone who is in this chat. One of these days we'll put this in the big screen. That would be great. It's a good idea.
Back in 15.
All right, we got 15 seconds. Here we go. What are we talking about this?
10 seconds.
Cooperation between one of the other world leaders.
Here goes, so standing, please.
Superpowers.
5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. A joint operation between the U.S. and China has led to a drug bust. Now, just days before a high-stakes meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, NBC's international correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer reports from Beijing.
This is a major drug enforcement announcement coming just days before President Trump is set to meet with China's leader Xi Jinping here in Beijing later this week. U.S. and Chinese authorities say they jointly arrested 3 Americans and 2 Chinese nationals and dismantled a cross-border smuggling and trafficking network. This was a joint operation between the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, along with the Narcotics Control Bureau of China's Ministry of Public Security. It spanned Florida, Nevada, and the Chinese provinces of Liaoning and Guangdong. Quantities of drugs were also seized, including nitazines. These are synthetic opioids said to be more potent than heroin and fentanyl. The operation, which happened last month, is a rare collaboration between the U.S. and China, despite rocky relations between the two countries over trade and other issues. Yu Haibin is one of China's top counter-narcotics officials. In an exclusive interview earlier this year, he said the two sides need to cooperate, not shift blame. As major global powers, the joint action of China and the U.S. is a deterrent to global criminals, he says. If we do not join forces, criminals will be more than happy because criminals do cooperate. Of course, it may be affected at certain stages by the overall state of China-U.S. relations. Currently, the biggest obstacle is the 10% fentanyl tariff. We hope the U.S. removes this obstacle so we can devote ourselves wholeheartedly to global drug governance. The U.S. has accused China of not doing enough to stop the flow of illicit fentanyl and precursor chemicals that are blamed for fueling the opioid crisis in the U.S. China denies it is to blame and says it's a domestic demand problem. Fentanyl is expected to be on the agenda when President Trump has his state visit with Xi from Wednesday till Friday, along with other issues from tariffs to technology to Taiwan, in a high-stakes summit that's aimed primarily at extending an uneasy calm in U.S.-China relations.
Tariffs, technology, Taiwan. A lot to watch out for. Janice Mackey-Freyer, thank you. Still to come, introducing you to a 19-year-old pickleball superstar who has been called the LeBron James of the sport. But first, you got to see this, because this St. Louis nursing program they're seeing double there. Right now, the Goldfarb School of Nursing has not just 1, not just 2, but 5 sets of twins enrolled at the same time. Some are identical, which has led to a few mix-up among the students and staff. But when you've been together since the womb, why not have a career in the same field? RN, more like R-twin, am I right? Because it rhymes? I don't know. We'll be right back. You were wrong.
Did the chat like that joke? Did the chat get that
The chat
joke?
loved it. They already said, they're like, oh, that's the best dad joke in the world. You're the funniest dad in the universe.
Right? Oh, except for Hi on Twitch. So bad. I see
Thank
it.
you,
I see
Hi.
it. Thank you for
Thank
highlighting
you.
it. Uh-huh. Yes. Oh, man. Hello. How's it going? Greg's in the house.
back.
Here we go. We're going to talk pickleball right now. Can't wait to see this.
Sir, right here, your belly button mark.
There we go.
Yeah,
Is that about right?
SML, I think SML liked it too, Lisa. So bad it's good. OBI, that's right.
Yes, I can hear you.
It's the best when we have to explain it. Lisa is laughing. She's just on
No,
mute, so.
I'm reading like the polling here on the dad jokes. This is now.
Oh wait, there was polling on the dad joke?
Well,
No
they're
way.
kind of weighing in on whether it was funny.
2 minutes back. Yeah.
They love it. Anyway, Ohio gets tornadoes. Texas gets two-step twisters.
Step twisters.
Headwind. Man, all of a sudden the chat's got jokes today. This is great. Doreen, we have Doreen Quesada. She says she loves pickleball, so we're very excited about this story coming up. What else? Saturday Night Live and The Daily Show. Those are great shows. How much time do we have, George? Am I standing or sitting?
Okay, Gotti, we're starting G.
Okay, G. And then we extended this one out to include the, so this one's longer than the one that we did earlier.
Oh, nice.
And so it's got the Olympic stuff because we
Oh, cool.
out of the last one.
It ended up working out with all my voiceover stuff?
Yeah, it's great. Better than mine. All right.
1 minute back.
1 minute back. Oh, George, we got time. We got tons of time. Greg, have you seen this little thing that we've got?
No.
We built our own. Kevin vibe coded this, but it is a two-way street. So we've got the whole show. That's Lisa right there in the control room. That's a control room. And then here, we've got the chat going. So during the commercial breaks, we get to chat. And
That's
we
awesome.
Have questions about the show, and they put them in right here.
Wow.
And then we get to talk.
Really cool.
And we can switch it to picture-in-picture.
And back in 30.
Or it's just us two right here. This is the iPad. So I'm using the iPad camera. Or full show whenever we need. And so when the show comes up, you'll be able to see the show right here.
Ooh, Greg, I like the red.
Yeah.
That is fancy.
15.
She likes the red.
Oh, she likes the red. Okay, good.
15 seconds. Here we go.
10
Feature of
seconds.
everything. 10 seconds.
Little bump coming. 5 to the bump, 4 to the bump. 3, bumping 2.
And tonight in the Future of Everything, we are talking about the future of pickleball, which might be a 19-year-old star who has been playing the sport since way back before most of us even knew about it. And now she is the pickleball GOAT. And there's not really even a debate. Her name is Ann-Lee Waters, and NBC sports editor Greg Rosenstein has more of her story.
A 19-year-old sensation, now smashing the competition in the fastest-growing sport in the world. Meet Ann-Lee Waters, the pickleball star widely considered the greatest of all time in a still young but up-and-coming game. The most decorated pickleball player ever with 194 gold medals.
I don't see anyone being really close to her anytime soon.
And she just added more hardware to her collection at this weekend's Professional Pickleball Association, or PPA, Championships.
Anna Bright and Ann-Lee Waters are champions of the PPA Finals.
It was a familiar feeling for Waters, who's been playing with the pros since she was 12 years old. She picked up the paddle for the first time when she and her family had to evacuate their Florida home and temporarily move to Pennsylvania after Hurricane Irma.
We were hooked, and we played 2 to 3 times every day.
Her mom actually quit her job as a lawyer to play professionally, eventually becoming the #1 ranked female singles player in the country. And when her doubles partner dropped out before a tournament in 2019, she asked her daughter, a middle schooler at the time, to step in.
The coolest thing in my life, I think, was getting to play with her, getting to sort of like be friends and teammates.
It wasn't all fun and games.
I really, when I was younger, didn't really understand it. A lot of people were treating me poorly on the court or would get pretty upset, call me names, whatever. But now that I'm older, I realize, you know, the feelings they must have been going through, like losing to a 12-year-old.
Flash forward to now, she's getting recognized by some of the biggest names in sports, like tennis legend Andre Agassi.
She's one of the great competitors I've ever seen sports, period.
And yes, even Agassi trading in his racket for a paddle, making his professional pickleball debut alongside Waters at last year's U.S. Open. A surreal moment for her mom-turned-coach.
I had a cardboard cutout of Andre in my basement, like when I was growing up, like playing junior tennis. Like he was an idol of mine. So like now she's like hanging out with Andre and Steffi.
Waters' wins coming on and off the court, recently signing a deal with Nike. PPA CEO Connor Pardo saying she's been great for the game.
Having Annalise is a dream come true, really.
He says when the league started in 2019, Waters took home $1,000 after winning a gold medal. This year, he says she's going to take home $2.5 million, and she's setting her sights on growing the sport even more.
I always grew up watching the Olympics, and I always looked forward to maybe competing one day for the United States.
While it's not on the docket for the 2028 Games in Los Angeles, there's time to turn that dream into reality for Waters, who shows no signs of slowing down.
I feel like sometimes I've lived a full life, and I'm only 19. A goal of mine is just to stay on top as long as possible, you know, however long that may be.
And that may be for a very, very long time. Greg joins us now with more. So wait, rewind just a little bit here. Like, why isn't it on the roster for the LA Olympics? It would be a perfect place to introduce the world, right?
It would be the perfect place. I mean, it's warm year-round here. Everyone's playing on the courts in Los Angeles, but you know, every city that hosts the Olympics is different. They add different sports each time, and you know, we have squash, we have flag football, but we don't have pickleball.
Yeah.
I think the good news for Annalie, she's 19 years old, and even if they don't put it on the next Olympics or the next Olympics after that, she's still going to be in her prime, so she'll have a chance to participate for sure.
Yeah, so because I was doing the math, if it pops up during Australia, she'll only be 25, right? And pickleball is one of those sports that it's not quite as hard. I mean, it's not hard on the knees. It's a little hard on the ankles, but you can play a lot longer.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she picked it up because her grandpa introduced her to it with his friends who were all in their 70s and 80s. You know, the reason the family loved it was because everybody can get on the court at the same time. So, you know, it's a sport that, you know, you can do, you know, as an early child, and you can do it in your 70s or 80s and still have fun. And as a professional, I think she can probably do into her 30s and 40s and still be considered one of the best.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And this is also one of those sports that right now, huge in the United States. Internationally, like, is it going to get as big? Where's this headed?
I think it's definitely going to get much bigger. You know, right now it's like on the path to overtake tennis potentially. It sounds crazy, but you know, because so many people at different ages can do it, I think the popularity is growing, and the sky's the limit for the sport.
Have you played it? Are you pretty good at it?
Good, no. I've played it a few times. You know, my parents both play it, so I really should get out there and get out there with them.
It does, like the rules, I mean, they're a little bit more complicated than you'd think. We've done a little bit of pickleballing ourselves, and like, you know, it gets pretty intense. And when you're watching it and you don't understand the rules, it's hard to follow. But once you understand all of it, I mean, it is one of those things that you are literally on the edge of your seats as we see everybody there. In terms of Los Angeles, when the Olympics are here, you think that they're going to be seeing some petitioning from some of the LA greats at pickleball? I'm thinking Larry David. I'm thinking like the Kardashians. You think they might be hyping up the sport a little bit?
There are a lot of celebrities who play it, and you know, based on the amount of courts out here that are catering towards pickleball, like I could totally see it. It's going to be everywhere, you know. So while it's not going to be an actual competition, I could see the organizers of the event, you know, leaving their hotels or leaving the event and seeing pickleball courts.
You and I are going to be on a mission to cover pickleball somehow during the LA 2028 Olympics. Greg, thanks so very much. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now.
All right, thanks.
Perfect timing. That was awesome. And we had all kinds of extra time at the end there. So they went, yeah. So thank you, Ben.
I just wanted to be sure. Like, I did one of these like a few weeks ago, and they were like, "Oh, you went over," and so I'm like trying not to.
No, don't even worry about it. We had it. Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay, cool.
That was. What do you guys think? Greg is the man. Everybody's saying thank you, Greg.
Awesome.
All right, we'll see you, brother. Fantastic job. Larry David, yes. Kardashians, they play too. Pickleball is an equal opportunity enjoyment. Because everybody kept telling him to take his game to the next level. Oh, I see what you did there, William. I wish everybody good health and happiness. Back at you, MS. And Lee Waters, right? And you know what? I think that's it. I think that's our show. SML, no spamming. That's a lot of highs. You get 1, maybe 2 highs per block. But Lisa is right here. She's probably already gone. Yeah, see, they already checked out. New York control room. That's my signal too. That's my sign. They're gonna yank me out of here with a hook. So short outro. Jay Place, thanks for watching the whole entire show. Hi. Thank you as always. Love your questions. See you tomorrow, William. Monkey Beasts, put on the boot. I will right now. That's exactly what I'm gonna go do. Thank you guys
See ya.